Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the December meeting of the Autism Consortium of Texas. My name is Kate Thompson. I'm the Senior Administrative Program Coordinator of the Autism Consortium of Texas LEND program here at the Texas Center for Disability Studies at UT Austin. Before I introduce today's presenter, I wanted to let you know about our plans for the spring. Our Autism Consortium series will be moving to a lunch and learn format offered on the second Friday of the month from 12 to 1:30 p.m. And these will be offered in a hybrid format on Zoom and in person on the UT campus. Our January meeting will be held Friday, January 13th at 12 p.m. And more information about our topic and our speaker will be going out soon. So please keep an eye out for that. Also, please complete the survey about today's presentation that I will be dropping in the chat. This is really helpful to us and we really appreciate your participation. So before you leave today, please make sure you click on that so that you have it. If you have any questions during our presentation today, please feel free to comment in the chat and I can read your question aloud. Or if you would prefer to ask your question directly, please let me know in the chat and I can unmute you so that you can ask your question. So we are excited to have E4Texas as today's community spotlight. E4 is one of our programs here at the Texas Center for Disability Studies. Our speaker today is Joe Tate, who's the program manager for E4Texas. Joe has more than a decade of experience educating and advocating for Texans with disabilities. He's worked as a high school special education teacher. He's educated youth on the legislative process in Texas and championed national disability history and trained youth from across the country on how to affect social change. Joe firmly believes that meaningful inclusion and having high expectations are the best ways to positively impact the lives of people with disabilities. And now I would like to welcome Joe to today's presentation.
Hello, thank you guys. Thank you, Kate, for introduction and for having us here. We really appreciate it. It is my pleasure to be with y'all and speak a little bit further about E4Texas and, be here to answer questions if you guys have questions, but very excited to be here. Like Kate said, a program manager with E4Texas. I've been here since 2018 when E4Texas started. I'm on my 5th round of students now. We have seen a lot of change and a lot of additions since I started in 2018. But our main focus is still meaningful integration and inclusion of people with disabilities in post-secondary programs across the country. And this is really a movement across the country. There's many post-secondary programs. There's currently 15 in Texas. We're one of the 15. But it's really this movement to make sure that people with disabilities have things to do and jobs, training opportunities, and independent living opportunities, and all the opportunities that people without disabilities typically have after high school. I have a PowerPoint presentation. My goal is to share that presentation with y'all so that you can get some more information, and then just turn it over generally for any questions you might have. Let me see if I can share my screen there. We'll go ahead and bring this up. So yeah, that's E4Texas. As you can see, we are all about educating youth or people with disabilities, empowering them to go and achieve their goals and their dreams. Employing is a big part of E4. Currently, we train our students to do 3 jobs. We'll get into a little bit more detail about what those are here in a moment. And then, excel in life, have those independent living skills necessary to go on and do bigger and better things. All right. So, like Kate said, this meeting is being recorded. Feel free to type any questions in the box. Let me know. I'm happy to answer them, or let us know. All right. So, just generally, what is E4Texas? Well, E4Texas is university-based, meaning that our students are here on UT campus. They live at Dobie 2021, right off of Guadalupe Street, right down by the Littlefield Fountain, the big fountain with the horses. They're on campus, living on campus, going to school on campus, making friends on campus, exploring the UT community and this awesome Austin community at large. We are employment focused, which means that we have vocational outcomes tied to our program and to our students. So our big goal is to see our students go on and get jobs in their field of study at the end of our program, and that's really how we're judged at our success rate is how many of our students end up employed at the end of our program. It is currently for students with or without disabilities. Most of our students come from like those special education classrooms, but others may not. They may be students that struggle with other mental health needs or other needs that they would benefit from having kind of these wraparound supports that E4 offers. Again, we'll talk a little bit more in here in a little bit about what those wraparound supports are. Our current trainings are the personal care attendant. So you can think about a caregiver working alongside another person with a disability, most likely in their own home. Childcare, so early childhood education, and paraprofessional or teacher's assistant. So the same training that any teacher's assistant working in a special education classroom would get. That's the training that our students will be getting through E4Texas. All right, so there's our crew. I think I might have one of these students, former students, on the call right now. Anand is there on the, I guess that would be on the right-hand side at the very end. There we are, right? Well, that's my crew before COVID came, but all on campus. It's about a good representation of the number of students we like to have. We like to have anywhere between 10 and 15 students, and they come from all over the state of Texas. There we are before COVID. There's my crew during COVID. I just wanted to throw that out there that we as a team stayed together and continued to offer in-person support through the height of the pandemic. We did kind of pivot to more virtual online learning, but we were still there. All these students were living at Adobe 2021 during the pandemic. We were committed to ensuring that we continued to offer in-person supports and in-person classes for our students. We felt then, and we still feel that that's the best way for our students to learn is to go out and do it, to do hands-on work. And yeah, hard to keep us down. We keep on rocking. So this is our current semester that we're in, or our current program year that we're in. If you see that we start in the summer, it's a 4 weeks training. A lot of what we're doing over the summer, again, I'll get into more details with that, but each semester breakdown. But a lot of what we're doing in the summer is doing a lot of team building, navigating, learning how to navigate campus, learning how to navigate the bus system. We're learning about legislative advocacy. So our students go to the Capitol and testify. We're also learning about disability history. So our students are learning about that they're a continuation of this movement for inclusion on college campuses. Then through the fall, we just wrapped that up. Our students just got done last Friday for their fall semester. That's when our students are gaining their training to go out and do the work in their field of study. And then that's what happens in the spring is our students are required to work 135 hours in their field of study over the spring. And then we graduate in May. All right. So our summer semester, again, it's a little bit more about it. Our students have to pass each semester to move on to the next semester. And the summer is a lot of, again, assessing. This might be the first time our students have ever lived on their own. It might be the first time that they've ever been expected to wake themselves up and get themselves to a destination on time on their own. So we're really assessing where they're at around their independent living. We're assessing where they're at on their communication, their problem solving, their personal hygiene, really getting a baseline assessment of where our students are, encouraging a lot of cooperation and team building. And again, learning a little bit more about how that, yeah, we're in college to benefit ourselves, but we're also part of a movement for inclusion. And, being on campus as people with intellectual and developmental disabilities is an advocacy opportunity. It's an opportunity for these students to blaze the trail for people with disabilities to come behind them. And again, they have to pass each semester to move on. So there's a little bit more. There's one of my groups there at the Capitol after they testified. Our students select a bill that was passed either during the legislative session and they learn how to give testimony on that bill, and then they go to the Capitol and they go ahead and give their testimony. We actually have a student that was really got excited about. We have students that get excited about it every year, but this year I actually just left the Capitol this morning, where I was supporting a student who was going around and advocating for disability history to be included in K through 12 curriculum, and that's something he decided to do on his own. We didn't force him to do that. All of his other friends are gone. They all left on Friday. They went home. He decided to stay and do advocacy work on his own. So we're very person-centered how we approach our students. We get excited about what they get excited about. We encourage their participation, and anything that's going to help improve their chances of going out and being work ready and living independently. And there on the right, you'll see that we're at the Coalition of Texans with Disabilities. We do a whole lot of networking over the summer session. Our students meet key players around the city that might help benefit them in their job search or in their journey to independent living. All right, over the fall semester, the students attend classes on the UT campus. There also will be starting auditing. All of our students are required to audit one UT course over the fall and the spring. And typically those courses align with their coursework. So they might be through the College of Ed, or they might be through the School of Social Work, or like we have one student's taking the history of Western music right now. It might be something that just aligns with their interests. And we want them to be as included in those UT courses as possible. So we support them on the back end to make sure that if they need it, modification to course content and expectations, accommodations, help them complete assignments, help them connect with in-class mentors. Over the fall is really where our students are learning that curriculum, that either whatever field of study they choose, and they may choose more than one. Some students select 2 out of the 3, but that's where they're getting their curriculum so that they can go ahead and do the work when the spring semester rolls around. There is a requirement to volunteer. So all of our students are volunteering for 44 hours in the community. That is a really great opportunity. Some of the students have never worked before, but opportunity to test some of the skills they're learning in the classroom, but also to add that to their resume so that they can have something around work experience to include on their resume for the spring. Yeah. All right. So talked a little bit about auditing classes. They're also taking healthy relationships classes, which are really beneficial. Unfortunately, a lot of our students don't get that sexual education when they're in secondary school, middle school, high school. Often our students are left out of that conversation. But we do a really intensive healthy relationships class where students learn a lot about boundaries and what a healthy relationship looks like. Again, this is often E4 is the first opportunity our students have had to live on their own without mom and dad present. And many students, are exploring relationships with other people for the first time. And we have a great teacher, Dr. Nick Wiggins-Yanez, who is just amazing, a real feather in the cap of E4, but also the Texas Center for Disability Studies. She helps run the Disability Minors program here at UT, just a great advocate herself. Students learn about person-centered planning. We do a people planning together training. And students learn a whole lot of other things over the fall. They get food handler certification. They get allergy ready certification. They get their CPR AED certification. They get certified in level 1 peer support. I think I'm gonna have a list of all those here in a little bit. But we want to give as many tools as possible in the students' toolbox over the fall so that they can go again and get a job based on their own merits in the spring. Sometimes our students will get paid jobs, sometimes they'll be unpaid. It's really based on their resume and how well they interview. Let's see here. All right. Oh, I went backwards. Sorry about that. So now coming into the spring semester, that's when our students are going to do their internship. We also have, we call them our anchor days. Typically it's either a Monday or Tuesday or a Monday or Friday. And that's where we're still coming together. We're doing peer support. where we come as students, sit together in a group and talk about successes and challenges that they might be having in their internship, and they give and receive feedback. That's happening normally every Monday morning, and then they're still getting work readiness skills. They may be still working on improving some skills in their field of study. We're still working on independent living, might have some budgeting classes, but we still have 2 days a week where we come together and we get to see the students and work on some of the skills they may be struggling with or needing to improve. But the rest of the week is devoted for them to go to work. And it's 135 hours that need to be done over the spring semester. That equals to about 12 hours a day. We look to have about 20 hours of coursework every week for our students. It's normally a little bit over that with their audit course, but we want to replicate the UT typical college experience as best we can for our students. That means we don't mandate that they do things on the weekends. We don't mandate that they do things outside of class time. But we do want to provide those wraparound supports. So we have mentors that are available in the evenings from 5 to 8 most days, to help students engage in their community. Maybe they want to go eat lunch at a different restaurant that's not on campus. Maybe they want to go bowling as a team, or maybe they want to go check out a museum, or maybe they have homework to work on. But those 5 to 8 p.m. Mentoring times are not mandatory, meaning students don't have to come to them if they don't want to. And the same way goes for the weekends. We don't have mandatory activities on the weekends. Again, we want to mimic the UT college schedule for typically developing students best we can. But we want to also encourage our students to get out and explore this awesome community we live in Austin. After our students complete the 3 semesters, that's when they're officially certified by Texas Center for Disability Studies as completing our expectations. But yeah, again, the spring is really where the rubber meets the road and students are going out and hustling and looking for jobs. Yeah, so some of the certificates that students earn are the food handlers, CPRAD, person-centered practices, food allergy, level 1, certified peer support, highly qualified paraprofessional. They're getting training right now in early childhood education through the Priscilla Pond Flawn Child and Family Learning Laboratory. It's a really cool partnership that we just started last year, where our students are learning from professors that are affiliated with the University of Texas at Austin. They're the same professors that any student typically admitted to UT would be learning from. And we're really just there in the background, accommodating and maybe modifying some of that content to ensure that our students are learning it. That's really ideally where we should be heading for all of these training programs, like the personal care attendant program. Ideally in the future, for 3 to 5 years from now, most of those classes should be embedded at the UT School of Nursing. They shouldn't be getting classes just from Joe. They should be getting classes from the experts. And that's what we've done with the early childhood education track. It's entirely embedded at the university, meaning it's not taught by by E4 professors, it's taught by UT professors. And that's really where we want our paraprofessional track to be. That's where we want our personal care attendant track, and any other kind of job training tracks that we add. That's what we'd like them to be. That's the ideal model, is to have it be taught by UT professors, not E4Texas professors. And so it's really cool. They take their classes and they get to do their internship hours there at the lab with different age groups of children. And it's really a premier childcare training facility here in Central Texas. It's down there, Priscilla Pond Flawn. Let me see if I can change my pointer. I can point some stuff out right there. Priscilla Pond Flawn. And then our personal care attendant classes are adapted from UT School of Nursing, Center for Excellence in Aging Services and Long-Term Care. All right. So where do our students come from? Well, if you're 18 or older and have a high school diploma or a GED, we encourage you to apply. We would take in applications now. It's an online application. We want to make sure that our students that come to us, they have a desire to live independently. They have a desire to learn these fields of study that we trade. Students have to fill out an application, provide a resume, provide references, do an interview with us, and they have to get approved for some form of funding. A lot of our students get funding through the Texas Workforce Commission, but it's based on a student by student basis and based on their individual counselor. Many of our students have their tuition paid through Texas Workforce, and also Texas Workforce will help with room and board often, which is really nice for our program and for our students. Right now, the main way students pay is through the Texas Workforce Commission or private pay. We do, oh yeah, there's Texas Workforce Commission or Texas Workforce Solutions, formerly known as DARS. So hopefully your student or loved one has a TWC counselor, and it should be a pretty seamless process if we approve them and TWC, their individual counselor, approves. Right now, our students all stay at Dobie 2021, which is right off the drag. The students are right in the thick of it of West Campus. We, again, part of what E4 does and what my job is to do is to advocate for our students to be more embedded in the university and to have the same options as any student that gets accepted to UT. We're not quite there yet, but this is the first year that we've actually had our students stay at a UT affiliated dorm. Beforehand, Dobie 2021 was owned by a private company. The Dobie has been bought by the university, which is a great opportunity for us to, pilot our students staying at a UT affiliated dorm, to show, that we can do it. My goal is to have, our students be able to stay at any dorm that they want to. Now, logistically, that's going to be harder for us as program coordinators, but it'll be better for our students to be able to stay whatever dorm they want to stay at. And also, frankly, there'll be less stigma associated if we have, not our full group at one dorm. But Dobie is great. Again, it's right downtown. They have a lot of really cool community events they do. They have a lot of cool public spaces. Our students really like it for the most part. They have their meals are on UT campus. They have a Bevo Bucks card that allows them to eat at most UT restaurants around. And the housing is separate from our tuition, and the TWC would have to agree to pay for that. Some more cool photos of the housing. There we are down on the bottom left using the Dobie game room. Dobie has a lot of really cool, like I said, public spaces. More pictures of Dobie. We do have, I think, really good staff that really care. Again, we approach our students as person-centered. So we want to see what our students' strengths are, what their needs are, what their dreams are, short-term, long-term, and we want to help them get there. If the students want to learn to drive, that's things that we'll help them do over the spring. If our students want to learn to be better public speakers, well, we'll find opportunities for them to speak up and speak out about their experiences at E4. We'll take them with us when we go on public speaking events. If they're interested in, other fields of study that aren't quite aligned with what we're currently teaching, we'll help them find networking opportunities to get there. If our students want to, make friends and find ways to build bridges, again, we're there, especially during those mentor hours. If you look at the photos on the left, those are some of the mentor hours events. Those two, I think one's at Amy's Ice Cream. The other one looks like they're eating at a restaurant. I'm not sure which restaurant that is. Yeah, we want to help them make friends. We want to help them go out if they are nervous about taking the bus to a new restaurant, or they want to go to the Bland Museum. All those different things. We want to meet our students where they are and get them excited about living independently, living in Austin, going to UT. There we are. It looks like we're at Blues on the Green there. It looks like they're at a UT game. So again, we want our students to be engaged in independent living and typical college life, best we can allow them to do so. Provide the supports, but also not be hovering. We don't want to be accused of hovering or over supporting our students. That's a big no-no. But encouraging them nonetheless to engage in this awesome city that we have. And we really do have wonderful staff that care. One thing that I think E4 does that's really cool is that we will look to invite back our top performing students from previous cohorts as paid mentors, so that they can shepherd in this new group of students, and they work as mentors and as teachers assistants and as job coaches. And every year, I don't think there's been a year I haven't had, except for our first year. Every year we hire back one of those students to work with us as mentors. Yep. So just some few reasons to learn to join is we definitely I feel like our students really grow a lot in their independent living skills, and their self-confidence and self-advocacy. We definitely have them improve their public speaking skills, even from the summer. During the summer, they have to come together as a group and put a presentation together on someone from the disability rights movement that they select. So right away, they're putting together a project and presenting on it. We try to have a lot of fun. I think our students have fun at E4. That's them on the bottom right over the summer doing a team building activity. They're building a spaghetti tower with marshmallows and spaghetti. We try to make it fun and engaging. But our students definitely, even though we're only 3 semesters, we see a lot of growth from our students in those 3 semesters. Some general testimonials from our students. I can read it, you guys can read them too, but some of my favorite part has been making new friends. My favorite part of the program was meeting new people and my teachers, and the program is really fun. I enjoyed it. They helped me be more independent. So those are from our former students. Excuse me, I have to cough. All right, it says come and join us. Be part of the E4Texas family. Love to have you guys. And I think that's it for my presentation. I know that I have a former student on the line, Anand Iyer, and I'd also be happy to answer any questions that we might have. Happy to just be here as a resource. I can talk more about post-secondary programs in general. I think that might be worth it if we have some more time. I can show a website to y'all that outlines some of the different resources that are available for people thinking about college and the different college programs around the country and around the state. But I don't know if there's any questions.
We don't have any yet, but why don't I go ahead and allow Anand an opportunity to speak since they offered earlier. And Anand, you can go ahead and unmute whenever you're ready.
Hello, everyone. Hey, Joe, how are you? So, yeah,
Hey, Anand.
like Joe was saying, my name is Anand Iyer, and I was involved in the E4Texas program from 2019 to 2020. I was the salutatorian in my class that year. And I mean, it was a good, my experience in E4 was good. It got me really thinking about what I wanted to do with my life. And I'm happy to also answer any questions.
Anand, thank you, Anand, for being on. Yeah, absolutely. You're a great ambassador for E4. What are you currently up to right now? That would be good, I think, for people to know a little bit more about.
So after I got done with E4, I got to work with I was one of the many few in the program's history, right, Joe? To come back and work with the program as either a mentor. I also got to work with the program recently as a person-centered practices teacher, to which I'm still currently training, right? But I'm currently so when I was in the program, I was actually working for Lowe's Home Improvement, which I'm still working to this day. And then recently I started a new job at ACC, Austin Community College, where I work a few days a week, just to build on what I'm learning, just to build on what I've learned with the program. But yeah.
And yeah, Anna, I know you talked about working as a mentor, as a job coach for E4, and then helping us do the person-centered practices training. And I'm sorry, I missed it. Where are you currently working right now?
I'm actually working for both Lowe's and Austin Community College.
And what job do you have right now at ACC?
I am a learning lab attendant, and my job as a lab attendant is to make sure that I'm helping students with finding whatever stuff they need when they enter our labs. My job is basically also to help check in students as whenever they come in, because we have students who are struggling with different assignments. They come and they want to meet with the tutor. My job is to help point them in the right direction, right? And yeah, and that's one
That's
of
awesome.
yeah. I mean,
How long? I'm sorry, Anna, I don't mean to cut you off. How long have you been with ACC?
I've been with them for the last year.
That's awesome, dude. I'm super proud of you. I know you've been there for a while.
Yes, sir.
Anna, would you say that, I don't mean to put you on the spot, would you say that things that you learned at E4 have maybe helped in your career at ACC, or?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I even tell and like Joe always says, we are a networking opportunity. I mean, we try to get out there and encourage networking. And so I've been able to reach out to my already built networks at ACC and tell them about the program. And even to this day, they're like, I've had several students asking me about the program, right? So word of mouth, it works. So
Thank you, Anna. You're a great ambassador and advocate. Is there anything, I mean, why I got you, what would you say, if you can remember back? I know it's crazy to think it's already been over 2 years since you were in the program, but is there something that
3
you would say
years.
maybe? I know, 3 years, my bad, 3 years.
Yeah.
Is there anything you might say that is maybe your favorite memory or favorite thing you learned, something along those lines?
Well, I mean, my time in the program obviously was marred by COVID, right?
Yeah.
But to those listening to this call, it's like, I can't really say I have a favorite memory. It's just new experiences, meeting new people, getting out there, like learning stuff I didn't know before. Like, for example, the disability rights movement, like, hey, I never knew all this stuff happened. I mean, that sort of thing. But I
That's
encourage
awesome.
anyone who wants to join E4, to just do it.
I think that's great advice. You got to do it. You got to put yourself out there. And Anand, you are an expert network person. You're always out there networking, and you're right. That's a big part. Even starting in summer, I know you probably remind me, bugging you guys about, hey, you got to ask informal interview questions. If you don't ask informal interview questions, and you're not really networking. And that was something, Anand, you did right away. I don't even think I had to remind you more than maybe one time. You were on it.
Oh, and also my favorite thing was poking fun of you, Jeff. I'm kidding.
No, that's what, hey, we're supposed to, hey, I said on the slideshow, we have fun. You're definitely, no, you're not poking fun. I mean, we're teasing each other, which is all right with me. But yeah, Anand, I appreciate you being on. That was a good surprise. I didn't know that you would be on for sure. Appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to say, Anand?
I would say, guys, just apply for E4. Your lives will change. And that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Anand. Appreciate it. It's more than 2 cents. More than 2 cents. All right. I think I see a. Oh, go ahead, Kate. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say we have a question in the Q&A from Renee. The question is, can students go on and take more classes at UT after they finish E4?
Renee, that's a great question. Not technically through E4. Once E4 opens the door to allow students to audit classes and to get in there and that a typically admitted UT student would be able to do. You can always look to audit classes on your own through UT. They have they're pretty open. You just have to get approval through the UT professor to audit. You have to pay sometimes a little audit fee to be able to do so. You may or may not, but you may not feel fully supported in that class. That's one thing that E4 is there to do, is make sure you feel fully supported while you're in that audit class. But that's always an option, is to audit. If you need more connections or support with that process, let us know and we're happy to help you. But our students are not, they're on campus as visitors. They're not on campus as typical students. And that's just because they're not accepted the same way as a typical UT student would be accepted. So that limits how they're able to participate and how you would be able to participate after attending E4. There are some other programs, I don't know if they're right for you or for your loved one, but they're called UT informal classes. They're hosted here on campus and they're taught by often either grad students or UT professors, and they're really geared towards students with intellectual disabilities. And they're really cool classes. It could be like Egyptology, so learning more about Egypt, marine biology, learning about, I don't know, sharks and that cool stuff. Photography, there's all kinds of classes that you can attend through UT informal classes, which are on campus, but they're not the typical UT class offered in the course catalog. But I think they're worth people's time. I think it's a great way maybe to get your feet wet and to try engaging in a class like E4. Might be good to try the UT informal classes. But I guess the long answer is what I just said, is you could still audit, you got to do the process. The short answer is no, unfortunately, it's not an easy, seamless process to keep on attending UT classes.
We have another question that we received. I was wondering, Joe, if you could speak a little bit about the relationship that E4 has with the Texas Workforce Commission, and if somebody wanted to go through TWC to join E4, what would that process look like?
Yeah, absolutely. I saw that one in the chat. Michael or Mr. Butler. I think that's Mr. Yeah, Mike. We've heard that before, that it can be hard to get TWC to work with you and to fund certain certification programs. Our relationship with TWC is that we're an approved vendor, which means we have a contract with the Texas Workforce Commission that allows us to bill them for services, and we bill them for the tuition for our students to attend E4. Every single TWC office, and they're in every single county, is managed differently, and every single counselor has a lot of latitude, a lot of wiggle room to approve or not approve students based on what they know through your assessments and through your interviews and all that. So it really is on an individual TWC basis, an individual counselor's basis. I will say that one thing that we found is that if we accept a student and say, hey, based on our interviews, based on our assessments, based on the application and all the data we got from that student's school, we believe this student would be a good fit for E4. We give our students what's an acceptance letter. And I kind of say that's kind of like your golden ticket. If we give you an acceptance letter, then that puts more of the onus, more of the responsibility on TWC to really think hard about whether E4 or other certification processes or programs are a good fit for their customer, which is you're their customer. So if you get accepted to a program, use that as your leverage to come to TWC and say, hey, look, they think I'm a good fit. I think I'm a good fit. Can you support this? Versus just saying, hey, I need some help. Can you help me find a program that might be a good fit? That can make it more difficult to get your funding approved. But it can really be it doesn't have to be E4, any certification process or program. If you can get admitted to it, use that admission letter or whatever you have that proves that you got admitted, take that back to your individual TWC counselor and remember and tell them, hey, I'm your customer. You work for me. I'm your customer. That's what they call you guys, as customers. And I believe, based on this acceptance letter, my personal interest and my personal skills, that I would be good fit for this program. Please fund me. That's kind of a good way to handle it, versus just kind of throwing your hands up and saying, hey, help me find something that's a right fit for me. Go and find what's the right fit for you on your own, and then take that back to TWC. I don't know if that helps.
Joe, I was wondering if now, and I apologize if I missed this figure in the beginning of the presentation, if you did say it, if you had a guess about how many students have come through your program since the beginning?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh, man, I have 10 this year, 10, 20, 30, about 40-ish, 45. Our number, we try to keep between 10 and 15. And during COVID, our numbers dropped around, I think, 6 for the COVID years. So yeah, about 40-ish. Yeah. Yeah, Alan's saying there were 10 in yours. Yep, on 10 in yours, 11 in the group of 4 years. I have 10 this year. So there's 31 right there. And then we got our COVID years. So yeah, about 40.
When you think about, when you think of like a ripple effect, how you impact the community around you, those 40 people that have gone into the workforce and are now like Anand, who's, at ACC, how many people that they impact, and people that, may or may not have disabilities as well, and what kind of testimonial that kind of gives to them too, and what that does to build the community. It's pretty incredible.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that's a big reason why, I came from the special education world, and a big reason why I did pivot to this job was that I felt that it would help raise the expectations we have for people with disabilities, just in general. If teachers can look to the future beyond the age of 22, when students age out of ISD school, if we can look beyond and say, hey, our students aren't just going to graduate to the couch. Our students do have career opportunities. Our students do have opportunities after high school where they need to learn about healthy relationships, where they need to learn about, answering emails and having their own personal email address, where they need all these little skills that sometimes get pushed to the side. We as teachers push them to the side because we think, we know how hard it is for someone with an intellectual disability in particular, how hard it is for them to succeed in this world. So sometimes we push some of those work readiness, independent living, self-determination skills, we push them to the background while we work on math, English, and writing, and all the other things they need to learn. And I feel like if we can get this notion that there is things beyond high school to become more readily known, and to become a reality for people with disabilities, that we will see a trickle down effect to all expectations we have for people with disabilities. That's my hope. And you're exactly right, Kate. My students are my greatest ambassadors, and they're out there, and they're doing the work, hard work, frankly. The jobs we're training our students to do are not easy jobs, and they're out there and they're doing it with a smile on their face, and they're showing the world how valuable they are. And they're talking about, hey, yeah, I learned about E4. And I think it's beneficial, yeah, to you're right, highlight that it's our students out there that are really making the impact.
Thank you. Does anybody else have a question? Please feel free to put that real quick in the chat. I'd be happy to either unmute you or read your question aloud if that's easier. We've gotten so much good information today too. I know, Joe, we're colleagues, and I know a bit about your program, but it's been really great to kind of learn a little more in depth about what it is that you do there.
Absolutely. And Kate, I don't know how much more time we have, but if you'd like me to share, I think it's beneficial for people to see that we're not the only game in town, and that there's other options out there. I'd like to share that resource with folks.
That would be great.
Awesome.
Sure, that'd be terrific.
So yeah, what I'm going to share now is a website called Think College. And I'm just going to poke around a little bit on that website and show you the resources that are there. So here is the Think College website. It's thinkcollege.net. If you get to there's the landing page is good. It's a little busy for me, but what I really like is this resources tab right here, especially as a former special education teacher. I wish I'd known about these resources when I was teaching. But the first thing I'd like to show you is the college search. So if you hit that, it brings up a map of the United States. Pretty handy. You can just click anywhere, but we'll click on Texas because that's where we are. If we click on Texas, you see that there's 15 post-secondary opportunities, and it's just going to go through them and list them alphabetically for y'all. And it has a little blurb right here about what the program is, some of their outcomes that they look for. It has a web page for them. It has a phone number. And if we cruise through, we'll see Aggie Achieve, which is a comprehensive transition program. And you can find out more about what that is on this website as well, if you're interested. We got E4 there. There we are, popping up. If you hit this button right here that says Quick Look, it gives you a little bit more just of a breakdown, real simple, clear. What do you need? You know, when's our admission deadline? Is there housing offered for our students? That CTP designation is important because that opens up the student to be able to pay for the program through other sources than just private pay and TWC. If a program is designated as a CTP, that means that our students can have their program paid for through more traditional grants and loans. It stands for a comprehensive transition program. All right. So yeah, I would encourage y'all to share this resource with your networks, share it with teachers, let them know, hey, there's a whole world out there for your students after college. And again, you don't have to just talk about E4 if you don't want to. There's a lot of other ones, and they all specialize in different areas. They all have different things that they're working on. You know, some have different benefits with housing. Some might have different benefits with funding. So I would encourage you to take a look at all of them. They're all awesome. We all work together as a team generally, you know, even though technically we're competitors, we're still, you know, I'll get Aggie Achieve might send me a student and say, hey, Joe, I think the student's a better fit for you. Or I might send a student to ACC and say, hey, ACC STEPS is a better program for you based on where you're at in your life. So we definitely share resources with each other. We are actually, I'll just put a plug out there. E4 is a replication of the PATHS program right here, which is a post-secondary jobs training program at Texas A&M. And E4 is a replication of PATHS, although we do things differently. As you know, we're in Austin, so we got to be a little bit weirder than A&M, I guess. But you know, A&M is great. They've been around for a long time, and they have a new program called HOPS, which is all about horticulture. I cannot say that word today. Horticulture, all about agriculture and horticulture, which is super cool. And I know that they have a lot of excitement around that with their students. But the next thing I'd like to show on thinkcollege.net is if you go into resources and you go, let's see, search resource library. Let's see here, maybe resources, where you at? Search resource library. Is this it? A minute? Oh, a minute. All right. So right here on the left, you can search. And I think this is really great for you folks, students, or even families or teachers thinking about students transitioning. One of the things that was really difficult for me when I was a teacher is writing meaningful IEP goals, making sure these IEP goals really are going to make an impact. They have tons of free resources. IEP goals are just one of them. And I just like to see, we'll just type in IEP goals. There it is. See what comes up. So right here, right out of the bat, we have transition IEP goals and activities. It's all free. It's got your IEP goals written for you, and they have them in different domains. So look, we have education training. Look at there. We were just talking about emails. Initiates blank emails per week or month. It's literally going to have the language there for you to write a meaningful IEP goal around transition. You know, often these goals would probably be written for your 18+ students, but it could be written for younger ages as well. And it goes through, I mean, this is the first resource that popped up. I just want to plug thinkcollege.net as an excellent resource if you are, if you are thinking about going to college after high school. Thinkcollege.net is your clearinghouse for all things college related to people with disabilities. And you know, these resources are free. You can't beat free. This is a long document. I'm not going to go all the way through it, but I just think it's great that it has it broken down into domains. Here we are, development of employment. Yeah. So thinkcollege.net. I won't spend too much time on that. I just wanted to plug it and say, hey, check it out. explore those resources.
Thank you
I got
so
it.
much for sharing that. I'm also a parent of an autistic high school student, so I know I've used that resource for us pretty frequently too, just to kind of look into their options. If there aren't any other questions in the chat, I just want to say thanks again, Joe, for coming and sharing more about E4Texas today. It's been really informative, and it's fantastic to hear about the work folks in our community are doing. Everyone, I've dropped a link in the chat again for evaluation. And just to take a moment and click on that if you haven't had a chance to already.
Thank you, Kate. I appreciate you. Let us know if we can come back or if y'all need anything else, please.
I will do. And thank you everyone for coming today.
Bye, Anand. See you later, man.